This Fox News alert now. For nearly an hour, President Trump has been speaking at the United Nations General Assembly in New York City. He unfurled raw truth to countries in attendance there and to the rest of the world. In moments from now, the president is set to hold a meeting with the UN Secretary General. And that meeting will follow that long speech that put quite the spotlight on the different world order we are living in now. He even called the former President Joe Biden by name, comparing where the world was under Biden and while Biden was leading the United States and where we are now. The president talked in detail about his own foreign policy victories, the successful containment of illegal immigration into the United States. And he had a warning, too, for other countries with all those open borders. And, of course, he talked about the ongoing wars with Israel versus Hamas and Ukraine versus Russia. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. From moments ago, here's the president.
6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on 2 continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. America is respected again like it has never been respected before. You think about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, or 1 year ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world.
Steve Yates, former Deputy National Security Advisor for Vice President Dick Cheney and Heritage Foundation Vice President now. Great to see you today. Thank you for being with me. First of all, I'm thinking you must have watched the entire speech. It was a little bit more than an hour. What were just a couple of highlights that you think the world is paying attention to President Trump at this moment?
Well, there's a few things, Harris, that are sort of process. There was apparently a teleprompter malfunction, and if there ever was a world leader that's not going to be dissuaded by a teleprompter malfunction, it's President Trump. He knows very much what he wants to say, and he's able to, on the fly, continue with his messaging, and he was characteristically very direct, is the most comfortable leader ever in uncomfortable situations. So he would speak blunt truth, but with power. And what a difference 8 years makes from when he entered the world scene and kind of ushered in the end of globalism, and people laughed at him. Now the World Trade Organization has failed world trade. The World Health Organization has failed world health. The UN Security Council has failed to preserve peace and promote prosperity. And he's presenting now with experience, the most active 7 months ever in a presidency on foreign affairs, an alternative to the globalist view.
What would you say about, I mean, he was really, really sticking it to those leaders in the room and around the world with all those open borders, particularly those in Western Europe. What would you say about him talking on that topic? Do they get what he's saying? It's going to cost them if they continue their behavior.
Well, they should get what he's saying, because it's not really about President Trump. It's about basic hard truths. If you look at one of the controversies of recent weeks, it's the number of our allies that have decided to recognize a non-existent state of Palestine. Well, a lot of the driver between that, in that issue, is the migration into those capitals that have very forceful mobs that are pushing this activist agenda, and it's causing these leaders to take this position that won't feed a single Gazan, won't make peace closer. It's so the immigration issue is shaping world politics in those capitals, and President Trump is as direct about it there as he has been at home, and it's true.
Well, I want to talk now about President Trump and what he had to say, his points on his second-term foreign policy achievements. Let's watch.
In a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal.
Your reaction?
Well, leave aside whether the wars are all over. That's the constant gardening required of world leaders. It's an absolute indictment of the United Nations that they have been absent from the reality and even the conversation about bringing peace in Ukraine, peace in Israel, trying to avoid a conflict in East Asia. Essentially, the UN has lost its purpose. They're celebrating 80 years and saying better together, but really it's 80 years of missing their mission. And so I thought President Trump's direct remarks were spot on in that regard.
You know, I want to touch just now real quickly, because I'd ask you about, it wasn't a lecture, but he was definitely telling countries, look, you've got to stop it with the open borders. And then he took on the United Nations on how much money they're helping or spending on people helping get across our border. Let's watch that.
The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well.
Your quick reaction to that?
Well, it's absolutely true that there were UN-affiliated organizations that enabled a lot of this mass migration, but they also have been very permissive about money laundering and the movement of illicit chemicals. The fentanyl pandemic in the United States is directly tied to a lot of these kinds of movements. Took my daughter and 500,000 other sweet children out of our country. So the UN definitely has blood on its hands with its approach to these issues, and the president's right to encourage all countries to put their citizens first, their sovereignty first, and if they do that, they've got a good partner in the United States in moving forward in a positive direction towards peace and prosperity.
Steve, I don't want to run over what you said, and I think I heard it correctly. My prayers for you and your family. I did not know about your daughter.
Thank you very much, Harris. And I highlight her because I love her and honor her.
Yeah.
But truly, 500,000 Americans is not a small number. And where has the United Nations or any of our allies really been in trying to cooperate to end the scourge?
Indeed. Steve Yates, thank you for being on The Focus. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.